What's up, everybody? Main man Squanto here. So I'm going to teach you how to just set your lines for your floors. Best thing to do is literally just put a couple pieces of flooring on the floor. So you find your flooring. Now, you're going to basically stand in the front doorway and just figure out where your eye catches the most or where your line needs to be the most dominant. I would say this running hallway. Well, this line has to be right. It has to be parallel with my center dividing structural load bearing walls. Now I know these are straight because I put these in with a laser level. So basically what we're doing is I figured now having this nice in parallel, let's just say it's right up against the sheetrock. I asked my fiance, Tink, to just walk naturally. So naturally my pad and my heel of my foot puts pressure on this end and in center here. So here and here, there's less pressure on this soft part of my foot. And 90% of the time when I fake grab a doorknob and go to push in, as you can see, I am putting the pressure parts of my foot away from the seam. Therefore, instead of looks, I don't really care. It's going to free flow the whole way anyway. So I really don't care about like where that seam is specifically. I really much rather worrying about durability, quality, longevity, etc. That's always been my mantra. Performance ethics, honesty, but is my company's, but longevity, maximum quality, it's always been my thing. So look, naturally when I walk in, so I'm going to make sure that it sets like that. So what I did was I figured out the width of this without all these added gray lips. The actual width is the actual part of the vinyl. All the other gray stuff below will be hidden. So we have the width of the board is 7 3/16. Okay, so you take 7 and you just kind of pull that over 3/16. We got to turn that into a decimal. So we got 3. Was it 16? No. 3 divided by 16. 3 divided by 16 is 7.1875. Okay? So now I can figure out the width from this wall over to this wall and figure out how many are going to go there. So I take 7.1875 and, I take the width, which is 132. So the width between that sheetrock and that sheetrock is 132. 132.5 even. 7.1875. And you end up getting, I forget what it was, 18.46, I believe. I believe it was. I don't have an extra calculator here, and I'm not doing this math. I ended up working out to where I was going to get, I believe it was 18 and a half or 18.46. So 18.46. That's how many pieces are going to end up having to go across. Now the 0.46, how do you figure out 0.46 of this? Now that's just to get my reference line of what I need to cut in half. So basically, I'm going to need 18 and a half sheets going this way. So what I did was I figured out what 18 was, and that was 129 5/8. So there we go. So 18.46 times 7.1875 ended up being 129. I forget the actual decimal, but it ended up being 5/8. Okay? And all you do when you get this decimal, come on, how do I not know 5/8? 0.0875, I believe, is eighths. Oh, come on, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Every time I see the decimal, I remember that's 5/8. However, I can't think of it right now. So what we do is you take point, like to put this back into a fraction, all you do is take 16 and you multiply it by 0.1875, and you'll end up getting 3 point something, and it'll end up being, so that's 3 into a fraction. You round up or down and you get 3/16. So anyway, we're at 129, so that's where I made my mark. I pulled from the wall and I made a mark there and I made a mark there, and I ran my laser. So I ran my laser from, so this is a laser level, okay? And it shoots a line, well, a lot of lines. And I made it against this wall, and I made the two lines match up, all right? Therefore, what I did was basically made that line be this side of this 18th board. Therefore, I could figure out that exact width and mark a layout pattern for how I need to stay parallel with this wall. So I got my widths and I cut my boards. So let's put this laser up. Now, pardon me because they are already cut, but all you do is you get, I obviously put my 1/4 inch deduction in, and I'm using this so that I can push against it to keep it from moving out of square when I get a big bunch of it going. I'll probably have to put some shims in just to kind of get it to set right, because we do have more correction lines. So I just got my widths, ripped them down, set them, installed them, and there we are. So now I am free to start running my boards. And what I'll do myself, I will go take this last piece from the end. Sorry. Oh yeah, I ended up cutting the wrong end. Never mind. So I'll need to, these are all my cutoff ends. Anyway, I'll need to stagger my seams. I am not going to do a patterned stagger. So if you're not going to do a patterned stagger, don't measure your cuts and make them perfect. If you want it to be just kind of free flowing everywhere, just free flow everywhere, throw it down, and don't make 18-inch, 16, 20, you know, don't do that. Because if you start making lines, you're going to have a pattern. Anyway, I will bring this all the way out, but how do I know that line will be hidden? And the only other reference I would have had was this line. So, and this is all messed up because the wall doesn't come over here and this corner bumps out a little bit. And I'm actually going with this whole wall, not this here. Now, there's a reason for that. If I were to go with this bumped out, my floor would kind of flow into it like this. It would offset it. My main goal is to make sure that my line stays specifically parallel the whole way down. So I have to go parallel with this wall, not that added bump out from the corner bead. This is mud with a vinyl piece of corner bead, and it bumps it out, but my 13-inch trowel makes it look like the wall isn't bumped out. However, so I took that true because I actually pulled off the sheetrock and not my mud. None of this. I actually pulled off the sheetrock over here, and I pulled back. So I pulled back 4 feet, and I ran a line all the way down. So from my chalk line that my laser level made, when matching up those two dots, that was 129 5/8 off this parallel wall. Now I can take and pull off of that blue line, which is obviously this blue line here. Because once I matched it up, I then could just mark my laser on this end, pull my laser off, and chalk it down. And, you know, you just use the laser as you need it, make marks, and then take your laser away. You don't want to waste battery. And if you move that laser, it took me 20 minutes to get that laser to set right. So if you move that laser without making a mark, well, now you have nowhere to judge it off, and you're starting back from zero, finding that end's mark. Anyway, I pulled off from that chalk line 4 feet on each end, went from that, overrode the mark, brought my line to here, but I just kept my eye on that line, made sure I was dead center, and snapped it. Did the same thing. I made a 4, an 8, and a 10 all at once. 4, 8, 10, 4, 8, 10, and then Tink came over and we marked our lines. So 4, this is 8 foot, and this is 10 foot. Now, these have no significance to where those lines are going to fall. They're just a reference point for me to judge and base to make sure that it's actually staying. So I don't want to get my flooring to here and have it look like this, where it's 6.5 inches from the line there and 12 inches from the line there. We don't want our floor going crooked with that wall. That blue line, this blue line, this blue line are giving us that same parallel, making sure that I can move my flooring this way to make sure it lands parallel the whole way. Because it is a floating floor. It's not being sealed down. It's not being nailed down. And also, we're on cement. But check out my previous videos also. But I also took advantage of these two lines, and I specifically laid these two lines in this way so that I could sneak by and grab that 8 foot, and I extended it. So what I did was I made my mark from there to there, here to there, here to there. And then I had her stand on that corner, grab that line over, 10 foot down, and I brought my line all the way over to here. And then I had her just, bring it, figure out where it was. We got it dead center, and we continued the line, transferred it this way, did the same thing here. And now we have that transferred all the way from one end of the apartment to the other end. And that is huge, because now I know this line and this line is not only parallel, but it's also married in to my whole floor plan. And it brings me out, and then I can backtrack knowing that this line will never vary. So my floor won't end up kinking on me as I pull back. Because once I get in here, I won't be able to tell just by like the whim of my mind, oh yeah, that's parallel. And if my floor had fallen off track here, I would have no way of being able to correct it. Meaning, slide it this way or slide it this way to make sure that this keeps flowing correctly. Now, it's very specific for me because this stuff wants to sit parallel. If it is wiggled at all, and it will, these joints have expansion room. So these joints, they may look tight, but each one of them, especially where they meet here, and then another board goes in, let's just say like this, there's all kinds of room for error. You can even see it right now. Well, that looks tight, but it's not parallel, and that's gonna throw everything off, right? So now obviously that's not what I'm laying. I've been throwing it all around to show you guys what we're up to. But, and then what we'll do is I will continue running, you know, either every 2 feet or every 4 feet, probably every 2 from here on, just to make sure I stay tight the whole way. But first, I'll make sure that I come into here and then, you know, parallel with this wall. So what I'll do in this room, I'll pull 2 feet and 2 feet, and then I'll snap a laser level, matching this 2 foot to this 2 foot, and it'll snap across. And then I'll have my reference line, and then I'll keep going, right? Or I could just pull off of this wall. This wall is the reference, you know? So there's a couple different ways we can do it. This room is gonna be my unclean room, as you can see. It is going to be a dusty, dirty room. So every cut, I blow myself off with the leaf blower, and I blow all the chips backwards. You won't need many cuts. I just needed quite a few at the beginning to rip in and start my pattern so that this ends up flowing right where I want it to for later on. Oh, and I did give it the 1/4 inch. I had a board over here when I made the measurement. So it still has, as you can see right here, that was the actual line that I went off, which is a 1/4 inch away from the wall. So there you have it, guys. I hope that helped. I'm sorry you can't see these lines as well as I can. This one is really thick where we double laid it. But I hope you get the hint, and just keep following the videos and subscribe. It will help, you know, you understand the next processes of this stuff as we go. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you at the next one. Let me get this floor started here. Main man Squanto, out.